What's up, guys? Welcome back to another banger of a video. In this one, we're building out another Fullstack application. In this one, we're building out a Fullstack Run Club app where you and your friends can track your runs. So how does it work? I'll put some B-roll on the screen. In the app, you put in your email address, and then you hit login. And what we're using is Magic Link. So an email will be sent to you, an email will be sent to your email address. You see here, boom, you open up that email, you click on the link, and it'll direct you back to the app. Once it does that, it'll do its thing, boom, and you're in the app. And then you're ready to track your runs. So that's the app we'll be building. If you guys are interested in the source code for it, it'll be in the description. That's for Patreon members only, for the middle tier. So make sure you guys check that out if you're looking for the source code. And also, lastly, I'd like to thank or shout out to Eduardo. He hosts a run club that I recently joined not too long ago, and it's been a lot of fun. I made a lot of progress in my running journey. And if you guys live in the South Florida, Broward area, it's a great experience and a great group to go out there and run with. Link to that will be in the description. Let's get to coding. All right, guys, let's get into it. So we're just going to create a project. I'm going to go with app. Let's call this Run Club. And SwiftUI, of course. Swift, storage. Let's do none for now. And then maybe in the future we'll add some if we need it. Hit create. Cool, now I'm going to open this bad boy up. We're going to add a navigation link. And then we're going to put a VStack in here. And what else are we going to do? So let's add a navigation title. For that, we're going to do run, which is what they have in the Run Club app. And I'm also going to bring in MapKit because we need to bring in a map here. Bring in this one, the one with the coordinate region. You can ignore that it's been deprecated just because this one's going to be a little bit easier for us to work with. You can get rid of all this other stuff. We only need these two properties. I'm going to create a region variable here up top just for now so that we can create this map kit or create this map view. And for the region, we need an MK coordinate region with a center and a span. For this, we can look up New York. So New York is 40 and 40 longitude or latitude, and then 40 or 76 longitude. And then for the span, you want to hit a knit and you have a delta. So you have a delta, which is basically the difference in latitude and longitude that you want the map to span. Pretty straightforward. Shout out to Xcode or Swift for always being like that. And after that, you should see the maps are loading on the preview. And it looks like this because I have a typo in the longitude, actually. The longitude should be negative. Fun fact, or something to know is west is negative and also south is negative. Which, I mean, I don't work with coordinates that often, but that's just something to know, something useful. Maybe, if you're ever hiking. Okay. So that runs, and there we go. We're in New York. So that was just a small issue. Now we can move on to the rest. What else do we want to do here? We want to set a frame because the map isn't taking up the entire screen in the Run Club app. But we might change it in the future just to make it look nicer. So we're going to add a frame here to the VStack of infinity. Set alignment at the top so that the map is at the top. Next, we're gonna add a button. So we need a button to start our run. So let's add that. I prefer to go with this because it looks nicer. Looks way nicer. This button, we're gonna set a title, and we're gonna make sure it's bold and add a foreground style of dot yellow, and then add some padding, and then we're gonna add a background. This background is supposed to be a circle, so for that that's why I add the padding there, and then I'm going to set the color. And then you can do something neat called clip shape, circle, and boom. And we actually want the foreground style to be black. And I'm going to get rid of this frame. And we'll put this in the Z stack and then make the alignment of bottom. This will put that button at the bottom of the map. And we just add some padding at the bottom to shift it up a bit. I think this looks really nice. Now we're just missing ignoring some safe areas. Now let's create our run tracker so that we can update the region. So in this run tracker, we need to conform to NS object. We also need to conform to our observable object. We need to conform to the CLL location delegate or location manager delegate, since we're going to be using that to track the user's location. And if you want to use observable, you can just mark it at observable and it also function the same. The reason I use observable object is because I want access to the state object. I find it useful, and sometimes you don't have to rewrite, or sometimes you don't want the run tracker to reinitialize every time the state changes. And that's why state object is very useful, because it's only initialized once. So we'll just copy the region into the run tracker. Now let's initialize our run tracker. Oh, looks like I have an issue, missing the at state object. So we'll just add the at symbol. And we should be good to go. Now we need to work on some more of our code. So before moving any further, we need to add some stuff to our info plist. If you hit the plus sign and then just type privacy, location, you'll get some of the ones that we want. So you have quite a variety to choose from. We're going to go with always and when in use. This just gives you the option to ask for always or to let the user say when the app is in use. And let's bring in one more. Location, usage description. So we'll bring in this one just in case they only have one in use. Okay. So now that we have access to the user's location, we need to request it. Well, we don't have access yet, but we just we did the first step to enable access or access to the location. So we need some variables for location tracking. First is going to be our location manager, which will be a CLL location manager, private var, and then we need a start location. We also are going to need a end location. Then we're going to call our init. Whenever you override the init, you need to make sure you call super init, and then here we're going to have a task. This is where we're going to request access or authorization to access their location data. So we want to do this on the main thread, and we're going to ask, what do we need for that? We need to call the location manager, set it equal to CLL location manager, and then from there we need to set the delegate equal to self. This delegate is what's going to give us updates of the user location. And then we can request different types of access. So request when in use authorization, request for accuracy authorization. That might be useful depending on your needs for accuracy. In a run tracker, I think that would definitely be useful to get precision. But we're not going to use that. We're just going to use the when in use authorization. And then afterwards, we're going to start updating our location. So this is not going to work in your preview just yet. We hit Command B and it runs successfully, so we don't have any errors or compilation errors. Now let's conform to the delegate. So to do so, we're going to create an extension and a run tracker. And let's move that call down here. Makes the code look a little bit cleaner. I'm going to create a mark, location tracking. So what do we need to call in here? In here we need to call did update locations. And this function is going to be called every time the user's location updates. And we're going to get the manager and also an array of locations, CLL locations to be exact. And what we care about is the last location because that's where the person is. AKA the current location. So once we have our location, we're going to call the main actor, and we're going to set the region equal to the location, or the center of the region to equal the location. So this is so on app launch, once we have the access to the location, the region should update to the center. The center of the region should update to the user's location. So if the start location equals nil, we're going to set the start location to the current location. And then we're going to say last location instead of end location. And we'll do the same for last location. So at the end of this function, we're just going to say the last location equals location. So every time that our location updates, we are going to update the last location to the current location. And we're going to use that in the future when we're tracking our run. Now let's run this on the simulator and see what happens. Get any errors or anything. So, look, it requested access to our location. And we can say allow while using. And then boom. Our location looks like it might not be updating. Or maybe we haven't moved. That's another thing. You need to move for the location to update. So let's see if it's an issue with our initial screen or our initial logic. Oh, looks like it might be. Looks like it may be. So we're going to set our location to city run. Or you can call it a freeway drive. And what this cool thing about the simulator is it'll simulate a freeway drive.
In our case, the city run will be more useful, but if you ever need that, that's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to delete the app, and I'm going to try this one more time to see if it requests or it's allow while using the app. Once, boom, there we go. I think the issue may have been because we didn't update the location. See, we're getting an issue with the publishing changes from a background. Let's see if we use dispatch queue, if that changes anything. But now we need to use self. So we're going to call weak self. And let's say self question mark or optional. We're still getting the same issue. So we're going to have to change our approach. You know what? Let's do some live debugging. Show you guys how I would tackle this issue if it ever came up at the job. So I'm going to Google SwiftUI MapKit coordinate region and pretty much write in the issue. Sometimes you can literally just copy and paste the issue. And my go-to is always Stack Overflow. Let's see. So I'm reading these and they have a similar issue, but they're not a fan of these answers. So let's see if we can find something else. Okay, this is nonstop. And pretty much every time we change it, it's giving us an issue. See the Apple developer forums. This is also another good place. So this looks pretty similar to our logic. And this answer looks pretty good. After reviewing this answer, I really like it. I'm going to visit one more page. This one looked a little bit similar, and let's see what we have as an answer. This one, no. And this one references code that we saw in the Apple developer site. And I don't know who did it first. Was it Tony or was it the Apple developer? But shout out to you guys because this is what we're going to use. So we're going to copy this and let's go back to our app, and then you can just drop it at the top because it's already set up to be a view. And we're still just going to be testing it, so we can put it in the same file. And then we replace the map with the area map, and then we just call the region. And now let's update it to our run tracker region. And don't forget to bind it. We're going to hit Command B or Command R, and let's run the app. Boom. No more issues about publishing from the background. There we go. And you can't see me because the audio was cut off, or you can't hear me. Shout out to Tony again, or the person from Apple Developer Forums who posted that response. I don't know. Shout out to both of you guys. Let's go back to features and let's go to City Run. And let's test that out because that's going to be used. That's what we're going to be using for this whole video. So make sure you guys set up your simulator to be a city run, and it'll basically simulate a city run, which is going to be super helpful. Next, we're going to create some more published variables. Let's create one for is running that's going to track if our person is running or not. Let's create a new SwiftUI view. We're going to call this Run Club tab view, and this is going to be our tabs for each of our views. And oh, that's hideous. So let's go back and try it again. Sometimes Xcode does that, but you can just clear it out yourself. So in this tab view, we're going to have a selection. So we need to create a state var, call it select the tab, and we'll set it equal to 0. And then you just bind that selected tab here to the selection. And then we can call our home view and set it up to be a tab. So when you have a tab, you want to have a tag on it, and we put 0. Your tag can also be a string, but in our case, we're going with integers, so we set 0. And then we want some tab items. This is going to be the image that goes at the bottom of the tab bar. In our case, we want a run. So if you hit the plus at the top right of Xcode, it'll pop up this, and then if you look up words, it'll show you some figures or some images you can use in your app. And this is totally free. I think the only thing is you can't sue Apple or something. So if you want to give your soul away or whatever, just use these SF symbols. I'm joking, Apple. Thank you. This is very useful. Oh, there we go.
So now let's work on starting a workout. So for that, we're going to need a few things. When we first hit start, we're going to need something to track the workout, which is we're going to use it is running. But when that happens, we need to display a countdown screen. And for that, we're going to create a SwiftUI view. Call this countdown view. Looks like the screen was frozen, but I created a view, a SwiftUI view, called a countdown view. So you just go here, right click, new file, SwiftUI view, named it countdown view, and then in here, we're going to pass an environment object, which will be our run tracker. And I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, and then in here, I'm going to call it state var timer, and a state var countdown. Go to 3. So in the Run Club app is basically just the countdown, basically from 3 to 1. So we're going to use a text for that. Give it a system size of 164. Just do 256. Okay, and then max width infinity, max height infinity, background of .yellow, and then on appear. So whenever we show this, we're gonna set the timer. Let's put this in a function actually. So start, or just call it setup countdown. We'll call it setup countdown. And here we want to set the timer equal to timer schedule timer with interval. So this is the seconds you want, and you can just put 1. we want it to repeat equal to true, and then we can ignore that part. So if the countdown is less than or equal to 1, that means we're on the last second. We want to invalidate the timer. We want the timer equal nil. Else countdown minus equals 1. And let's fix this. Make it look cleaner. There you go. And then on up here, we want to call this function. Boom. 3, 2, 1. Okay. This looks good. Let's go back to our home view. And for now, I'm going to use a full screen cover to present our timers. So we're going to create a run track. In our run tracker, let's create a variable or a var for present countdown. So here, publish var present countdown, set this equal to false. So when this happens, we're going to show our countdown view, and we want to pass in the environment object, run tracker. Okay. And then here we want to say run tracker dot present countdown equal false. It's going to fail here. Let's go to our home view. And let's just test this part. Let's say set this equal to true. Boom. All right, this is good. So what happens after we run? We want to start the workout or the run. So let's create a run view. So we're going to go to new file, SwiftUI, call this run view. There we go, run view. And in here, what do we want? So we're going to want a VStack. And then at the top of the Nike Run Club app, there is three distinct things. So we're going to use an HStack to display them because they're displayed horizontally. And what are these things? So we have the distance. Okay. Then we have, let me just copy this. Then we have the beats per minute, which is your heart rate, and then your current pace. And let's set up this max height, infinity, alignment dot top. And let's put a spacer in between these. Cool thing or something interesting. You could put a spacer or max with infinity because, let's see. You can do this, right? Or you can do this. That looks a little nicer actually. So we're gonna go with that. Because if you do the spacers, then you have to add one after here, or you have to add some padding to this H stack. This is pretty clean. Next, we have a text of the elapsed time, something like this. And the font size for that is, we're gonna do a system size 64. And we'll say text of time. Right? This can have a foreground style of .gray. I'm gonna put a spacer here and a spacer up here. And then after this, we have an H stack. And in this H stack, we're gonna have a button. Let's do this one. And it's actually an image, not a text. So it's gonna be pause.fill. We're just gonna have one button for now. And you can actually set this font here of large title and it'll increase the size of the button. Foreground style of .white. Padding. Let's do background color of .black. Clip shape, circle. Boom. And if we do 36, there you go. Let's just add the second button, which is going to be stop. And why does the stop look slightly bigger? Is it just me, or does the stop look slightly bigger? Maybe it's, I don't know. Let me know in the comments actually. Are these the same size? Are these the same size? Because this looks fairly close. Okay, we have this set up. We have to set up our background. Oh, dot background of dot yellow. Cool. Right, and now we need to input information. And this is going to be an environment object. We're going to need to pass in our run tracker. There we go. Max width on both of these, and this looks good. Then I think we could get rid of this. Just put max height into infinity. There you go. There we go. Now we need to plug in these values, right? Like how are we going to grab these values? So when you're plugging these values, and also set up the logic so that we start a workout. Because right now we're just counting down and that's it. So let's do something. Let's put away the preview for the time being. Let's go to the run view and let's pull up this. Okay, what are we going to need? So we're going to need here publish var. We're going to need a distance. Set this equal to 0.0. Another publish var. Pace. This is equal to 0.0. And a publish var for the elapsed time, set it equal to 0. Now in here we're gonna have to figure some things out. So the first thing is, let's call this start run. So what do you want to do when you start the run? We're gonna set the start location. We're gonna reset it. So start is nil, Last location is nil because we're starting a new run, so we don't want any old information. Since we actively have access to the location, this will be updated and we'll get a new start and last location. Distance equals 0.0 and then pace equals 0.0. This is also in case there was another workout or this was changed for some reason. We're starting a fresh workout, so our distance should be 0 and our pace should be 0. And one thing we need to do is we need to create a timer. Let's do that here. Private var timer. It could be optional timer. And what I'll do is I'll move this up here, and then this is for the workout stuff. So we're gonna set our timer. I'm basically gonna create the timer and set it here. So we're gonna say schedule. It's similar to the countdown one. You can do 1 or 1.0. Let's do 1.0. Repeat equals to true. We don't need the timer. And then we want to call what do you want to do here? So you want to say elapsed time plus equals 1. Not just elapsed times, but elapsed times plus elapsed times plus equals 1. Probably have to incorporate some different logic to do that. Okay, so let's close this. Let's just do that, since this is only going to be ran once. Now we can calculate our distance. How are we going to do this? So first we need to make sure it's greater than 0. Otherwise we're going to get an issue. So we're going to say our pace equals elapsed time. We need a double. Elapsed time divided by distance, which is divided by 100. For our distance variable, by the way, we're going to be tracking meters. It makes the math a little bit more simple. I know if you're in the US, what the hell are meters? But just bear with us for now, and then you can always use like ChatGPT if you want to change it later. We need to call .self here. What we can do is guard let self else return. Then we do self done here and self done. One thing to note about the pace, I have one small issue. So you want to divide this by 60. So this gives you the amount of minutes that have passed. And then you get rid of this. Because here we have, this makes it look cleaner. Because here you have the amount of minutes have passed, and then we have the amount of distance per kilometer, since we're doing meters, and this is 1K. So dividing the total minutes by the distance in kilometers gives you a pace in minutes per kilometer. Okay, so shout out to the European people who know, the European people and just people outside of the US who know what kilometers are. Okay, I think we're good to go. Let's see. Let's try this. We have to plug in some information though. And one thing to do here is let's make sure that the location manager start updating location. Okay, so let's plug this in here. So this is gonna be, we can plug in distance. Let's do a text, and we're gonna do string interpolation, of course. Run tracker distance meters. Let's just do M. And we want this to be a font of title 3, and let's make this bold. Cool. Do we have, we have paste as well, so let's just copy that And then for pace, what do we want to change? So we're going to do km divided by minutes. Okay. And the time. For now, we're going to format it later. Let's do elapsed time. Oh, we need to call the run tracker. Elapsed time. Let's see if we can test this. So first we need to make sure this is plugged in. So if you go back to our home view, we're going to need to go to our run tracker and add another variable. At publish var present run view. Set this equal to false. So let's say call start run. So for this, present run view equal true. Okay, let's go back to our home view. Put a full screen cover. Is presented. Run tracker presents run view, and then we need our environment object. All right, let's run this. I believe we have a run simulated already. Well, not a run simulated, but our iPhone should be moving as if we're running. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're simulating a run. So let's say we hit start. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. So a few things. So the distance is not updating, and I know exactly why, because if you go to the did update, we need to add something here to account for our distance changing. So if last location distance plus equals last location distance from location. If you see what this is doing, so what happens is we're gonna add the distance between the last location, which was the last time this updated, okay, and the current location, because every time this updates, we get a new locations to this. We get this array of locations, and the last one is the most recent location. So we're gonna get the distance between the current, we'll call this the current location, and the last location, which we set here. We're gonna add that distance or that difference to the distance. Let's run here, and if you want to learn more about distance, we can just let's see what Xcode tells the distance. Returns the distance measured in meters. You see? Okay. Now let's hit start, and I believe the distance should update. Yep, because we're running. Is that a good time for a run? I don't know. I don't know what. Wait, so a 5K is 3 miles. So 3 miles a minute. That's like a walk. Wait, 3 miles a minute? I don't think that's right math. Miles in a minute. Disregard this. Well, all right, we need to fix this formatting. For the formatting, here in the text, we can use something neat in a string interpolation. We can call a specifier and call the percent sign dot 2f, and it'll only keep 2 decimal places in our string. Let's run this app. 3, 2, 1. Boom, there we have 2. This kilometers per minute thing is confusing. I don't know if it's right. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. So we need to update our time formatting. Let's see what we can do. Let's do this live. So let's see, SwiftUI. What are we gonna do in SwiftUI? Format seconds to timer. Wait. Format string of seconds. There we go. So this is doing a lot. Okay. You can create an extension. Let's see. So what do we call for this? Convert duration to string. Let's see if this works. So then we would call that here, convert. Let's see how that looks. Okay. I'm gonna let this run, and while that's doing, I'm gonna refactor this, because we need to clean this. We need to clean this up. It's getting ugly. So a new file, SwiftUI view. Let's call this int plus ext. And we're gonna put this in there. We're gonna close this. What else can we refactor? Let's take this out and put it in its own view. I believe we'll have to rip out MapKit. No, we won't. I believe we'll have to import core location though. Let's see. Files with file. Call this run tracker. Let's see. We get an error because we need to import core location. And nope, looks like we need MapKit. And if you look at the timer, haha, it's working. And well, actually, we can simulate elapsed time. We can set this. I don't know what's like an hour. A ridiculously large number. Oh, yeah, I think I did too much. Oh, I think I know what I did wrong in this. I think it's minutes per kilometer. I just realized it. I'm sorry, y'all. You guys probably noticed it. It's early here in South Florida, in Miami. Y'all like the shirt? No. All right, we're getting sidetracked. Never mind. Okay, so the app is coming along. What can we do now? So we have this run stuff. Can we pause this? No. Can we stop this? No. All right, so let's try to stop and pause. I want to see something. Where's our run view? Here it is. Let's go back to a single view. Canvas. Text. Where are we going? Oh, this is because you need to. So in this case, you can just call .environment object on the preview and then pass in that by default. Oh, I need to make this 0. What if I do it on here, on long? Let's see, so if we tap it, it doesn't print. If we hold it, oh, you need to go to previews. I believe we need to reset this. All right, so if we tap it, it doesn't print. If we hold it, nada. Okay. Let's add something for the long button press. So here, we can say simulation gesture on the button. And we'll say long gesture. Okay. Long press gesture, and then on ended, we are going to track that. On ended, what do we want to do? We can ignore the boolean. On ended, we want to print stop. So to see if this works, we'll hold this on the preview. And nada. And oops. This is supposed to be simultaneous gesture. simultaneous. I don't know why Xcode is not letting me select it. All right, so we change this to simultaneous gesture. There you go, stop, boom. And let's see, can we disable this? Let's see. But then you don't get the click effect. All right, cool. And then something small, if you want to add to your app, is once this stops, you can add this. And this is from a Stack Overflow post. Basically, it makes your phone vibrate. I've used it in a few of my apps. It's pretty cool. You just need to import this audio toolbox. And when the user holds on the stop button, not only will it stop the workout, but also it'll vibrate the phone, giving the user some like feedback. Okay, we actually need to handle our stop. So what do we do for that? For our stop, we're gonna go to our run tracker, create a function stop run. We'll say location manager, stop updating location. Okay. And we can say location manager, or not location, but timer, invalidate, and set the timer equal to nil. And for the time being, let's just hide this. Even though I'm pretty sure we're gonna want to display like an overview of the workout, let's just hide the run. And actually, wait, we need to call this around the app. We need to call this, we would call it here, run tracker dot stop run. I believe we're gonna need a self here because we're in a closure, or no? No self. And all right, let's rerun the app then. Let's do this. So we're gonna hit run. 3, 2, 1, go. 8 minutes per kilometer, not bad. Okay, and pause is gonna do nothing, but there we go. Aha. So we're gonna come back to the stop because that's gonna be the end of the run. Let's go to pause now. Get a function here, pause, run. I believe it's gonna be the same thing. Let's just not set the timer to nil when we pause it. So then what I did is basically the same function. I'm not gonna hide the view. And when we pause, I'm gonna call run tracker dot pause run. We stopped it. And we need to add some so we need to add, what would you call it? Something that keeps track if the workout is running or not. So is running here. Let's do the simple part, which is the SF symbol. So if it is running, we want to show the pause.fail. Else we want to show play.fail. Cool. I'm gonna do this in here, even though you should do this in the run tracker. And this is going to give us an error, I believe. We'll probably have to create a resume function. Let's see how this plays. Okay, wait. I don't think I set is running equal to true. That's why this is false. We're gonna need to rerun the app. Xcode and app1 for the simulator, man. Okay, we start here. We pause. Everything stops updating. We play. I also believe we're not updating the when we pause it, we're not updating is running equal to false. We need to do this here and here. And while that's loading, let's create a function called resume run. Let's just test this. All right, let's wait 5 seconds. Pause. Okay. If we hit play, what happens? Pause. Play. Oh yeah, resets. And if you guys notice, look at this, 21, play, resets. Okay, so present run view, start, no, new. Basically, we want to do this, except the distance and the pace is the same or is different. We are going to nil out the start and the last location. Just in case, that's how it works in the running apps, right? So let's try that. We're gonna go to resume run. Where is this? Here. Pause run, resume run. Let's run that. Is running. Is pause. And I'm gonna let this go a little longer just to make sure you get like a decent sized number. Alright, so we're at 38. We're gonna pause for a couple seconds. Let's see what happens. We hit play. Looks like it's working. And in the resume, it looks like we're missing the is running. Can't forget. Set this equal to true. But you technically could maybe have like a boolean if the timer is non-nil. But it's better to explicitly state is running. All right, what can we do? Cool. So that didn't update because we didn't do that. One more test run. Start. Okay. Pause. Start. Okay, looking good. And then if we hold this, it only goes away. Now we're gonna work on the pause. The pause view. Because when you run the fitness app, the views change. So that's what we're gonna be working on now. When we pause the workout, you see it just stays here. But if you guys use the Nike Run Club app, when you pause, you actually get shown a different view. It shows a different screen. So that's what we're gonna be buttering out right now. So let's do that. Let's get rid of this. All right, so let's create a new view. File, SwiftUI view. And we're just gonna call this pause view. What do we need in this pause view? We're gonna need a VStack. So let's get rid of this and put a VStack in here. And if you look at the Nike Run Club, they actually have the map. That's what we're gonna put in here, a map, coordinate region. Oh, we have to import MapKit for this to populate. And actually, so we don't get the issue about the concurrency, remember, we go here to the run view. No, we go to the home view. And we're going to use this area map. So for the area map, we're going to go here, area map. And then we'll have to bind it to something. And then for that, we're going to access the run tracker. Put that in here and then run tracker region. And for this one, we can ignore safe areas and then we can add a frame
height of 300. What we'll want to do is put a max height on this, infinity, and an alignment top. And then when this is paused, there's an H stack of like general information. I believe one of them is the distance you've covered. So we'll say, maybe we'll just use kilometers, since that's what we're going with for the time being. Since all our stuff is in meters. Then let's put a variable for average pace. Then another VStack. Of the time. Actually, let's see how this looks. We might as well add the top part because that's how it's set up in the app. And for that, we'll use a font of title 3, and let's make this bold. And your preview, if it's not working, is because we need to pass this environment object of a run tracker. So we do that, and there we go. And let's copy this and put this in all the UV stacks. Put that here. Oh, copy this. Put that there. Cool. And if we want to handle this, we can just add a max width of infinity to all of our VSECs in the H stack, and that should give us the adequate spacing. Boom. This looks pretty nice. Now what should we do? Kind of feel like adding some padding here, so we're not hugging the map as much. This looks nice. So let's copy this, since we pretty much have two H stacks on top of each other. And then I believe we have some different data. We have calories. And for this section, we have a bunch of health data. And I'm not entirely sure if we're going to be able to access that for this video or this course. But we'll do our best, depending on how much time it takes us to get through most of this stuff. Let's see, BPMs. These are beats per minute. Cool. After this, we have another H stack with a play and a pause. So to save some time, let's go here. Let's rip these out. Let's see how we can reuse these. So we're at the pause view. All right, so this import audio. Let's go back to our home view, no, run view. Audio toolbox. So this is what's going to give us our vibration when we pause it. If you want to pin it to the bottom, we'll use max height of infinity and then alignment bottom. Cool. This looks pretty good. So now, since this is the pause view, we can get rid of this, and this will be an automatic. Do it with animation. With animation, do we have a stop run? Okay. There you go. Stop run. Just stop. So this is only going to be, this is no longer dynamic, so we can get rid of this. Okay. And let's inject this into our app. So to do that, let's go to our home view. And let's unpin the run view. So when we start, we're going to show the countdown timer. Let's try to present another full screen cover. Tracker. Do we have a present pause view? Maybe we'll put it here, or maybe I'll add the pause view as a full screen cover to the run view. Let's see if we get any weird behaviors by doing it here. And we're going to get issues since this is not created. It's not a variable. Another publish var. And if you guys want to play with the new observable, what you could do is you could call this observable. Make this observable. And then you can get rid of all the published vars. I would keep this as a state object just so this isn't called every time. Because if you make the run tracker a state variable, every time the state of the app changes, this is going to be ran, this init statement. So that's why I like keep an observable object here, so you can just have one initialization of your run tracker. Okay, so let's go back to run view, and what do we want to do? So here we're going to stop this, so run tracker dot stop, and let's do with animation. Actually, never mind. So we do no action on press because we want to wait until we have a hold. And let's see, do we get with animation here? I'll put this in the with animation. Okay, and then since this is the run view, we're only going to be pausing here. So we can get rid of this line. Play, pause. Okay, refresh that. And let's go back to pause view. So we want to put this in here. So let's call this on tap. Stop. Just say no action. Be a little bit more descriptive. So we want no action here and no action here. Okay. Resume run. Stop run. Let's try to run this and see if we get any weird behaviors. The moment of truth, y'all. So our app is running. Let's hit start. Let's see what happens. So the app starts. Cool, 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 cool. If we pause. Oh. If we pause, nothing happened. Well, it did pause. But that wasn't the intended effect. So we pause is running is false. Present run view is false. Okay. Present pause view is true. Let's try that. Now we have to do a few things. So resume run. Present pause view is false. And present run view is true. Any other stuff? Let's just see what edge cases we're missing. And if we go here, if we remember, we can, oh, we have a city run, so it's already running. Let's start. Moment of truth. Pause. Boom. Super far away, though. We'll come back to that later. But this looks good. Now we need to inject the time here, or whatever variables we can. So let's go to pause view. And actually, let's go to run view. How did I get the time? Time is this. So let's get this string. Pause view, and this is our time. So we're gonna put that in here. What else can we get? Our pace, average pace. Let's do that. Average pace goes here. Distance. Is our distance anywhere? Yeah, right here. Cool. And actually, we can, to get kilometers, we can divide this by 1,000. And we get kilometers. Actually, we'll do that. Let's see. Average pace, okay, and then this is our health data. I'm gonna wait a few seconds just so we get some distance so that this kilometer reading is not 0 for our distance. Since we're gonna be divided by 1,000. I'm wait till like 150 or something. So we're at 200, let's pause it. Okay, so we got to 0.2 kilometers. Cool. Average pace. Let's just do 4 minutes and get rid of the per kilometer part. We'll just assume by default they know that. Okay, so we have 0 calories, 0 elevation. Cool, that makes sense. I guess it was, we have to use meters since we're using meters here. I'm gonna let this go up a little bit more and see how it transpires. Wait to 300. Cue the music. Do 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 do. All right. 0.3. The time is the time correct? Yep. 117. Pace is the same here. All right. Let's stop this. See what happens. Oh, I'm holding on to this. Nothing happened. I think I might know why. I don't think we have. Yeah, stop. This isn't set up. So present run view equal false. Present pause view equal false. Let's set this equal to false. Actually, we shouldn't. And let's move that here. Because look, if you place, it should be 0. Nope. Now, okay, now. All right, and I have to rerun this app to get these changes in there. Start. Let's go back to pause view. Do we have our starts? Yes. Just stop run. Okay. Let's go here and let's stop this run. All right, there we go. Boom. Now our workout logic is pretty much set. We need to incorporate health data. But what I want to focus on now is how we can track or keep record of this run, right? Because, yay, we did the run, but where is it going? Like, where did it go? Tell me. Somebody. So let's handle that now. All right, y'all. Now we're going to be bringing in Supabase. Supabase. I've used this before in some of the few videos. We have a Supabase series on the channel. But they have made some changes to their Swift SDK. They've made a lot of changes, so shout out to them. They've progressed it a lot, and now they officially support Supabase Swift. If we go, I don't know where we need to go, to be honest. Sorry, y'all. But if you go somewhere in Supabase, let's see, Supabase, and don't be nosy looking at my tabs.
developers, go to documentation. Oh, here we go. Here we have the client libraries. And if we click on Swift, boom, it's officially supported. It doesn't say that, but I saw that on their event announcement and everything. One of their launch weeks. Let me hide my face. And you guys can review this documentation to see how to implement this. And I also have the Supabase Swift series, but it's pretty straightforward. And whatever you need to implement, they pretty much have an example here. The first thing we need to do is we need to bring in the Supabase Swift package. So you can grab that here using this, or you can always just Google Supabase Swift GitHub. You just look that up on Google. Then you click right here, a client for Supabase Swift. And then we go here and we can copy this. And we're gonna bring this into our project. So when you want to add a package, if you're not familiar, you're gonna go up here to File, Add Package Dependencies, and we just copy the URL into this top right corner. And we're gonna bring in Supabase Swift. Let's add this package. Now the package is coming in. So what are we gonna use here? We are gonna first set up our auth. So what do we want to do? Supabase has a pretty cool auth features. The one that I really like is the OTP link, or the sign in with magic link. That's really dope and useful. What is magic link? Here you go. Cool. All right, now we go here. So when you go this, we need to bring in everything we're gonna use. So we can add this, and to be honest, you can just add this one and it'll import all of these, if I'm not mistaken. This just gives you some flexibility in case you want to just bring in only one of these libraries, like their auth or their real time. But we'll bring in the whole enchilada. And let's set up our auth. So, not a SwiftUI view, but we need to create a new file here. And this file is going to be an AuthService. Let's call this a final class. Copy this name. AuthService. Static let shared. Make this a singleton. Oops. So, and to complete the singleton, we need a private initializer.
In our AuthService, let's create a function. Call it magic link login. And this is a function we'll be using to kickstart our magic link. Let's actually reference Supabase here, the documentation. If you go to sign in user through OTP, it'll give you the option. For magic link, you want to use the email because we're going to email them the magic link. You can also send people an OTP to their phone number, but that's a different method that we're not going to use in this course. So let's create a private bar Supabase reference to our Supabase client. And then here we'll put in our Supabase information. For that, you need to go to your dashboard. So open up Supabase, to your dashboard, and then we need to go to our project. And in our case, we need to create a new project. So I'm going to create a new project. Supabase allows you to create 2 or unlimited projects, but you can only have 2 active projects at a time. So that's one thing to know. And for this project, we need a project name and then a database password. I always use some random thing. I don't even remember. And let's hit create project. Okay. So the project's setting up, but they do tell us what our API key is going to be for the anon public key. And it's this one. So you can just copy it. And then we're going to put that in our project. And then we can just take the URL and then also put that in our project. For that, we need to create a URL. So we're going to say URL, and we might as well break this out into a secrets structure. We'll create a static let for the URL and also for the Supabase key. That way we can just call this whenever we need to reference our API key and also the URL. And we have an issue because I misspelled Supabase. And then we need to create our redirect URL. So for the redirect URL, you need to go to the authentication and URL configurations. And there you need to add the URL and then type in the URL you want to add. In this case, we're going to add com.runclub or run-club FLL for Fort Lauderdale. You guys can add whatever extra stuff you want to add. And then you make sure you do the colon dash dash or forward slash login callback. This front part is what's going to be used by iOS or like the iPhone to open up your app. And then the second part of the URL is going to be the pathway that's taken once the app is open. Looks like we still have an issue. Oh, and that's because I have Supabase URL and not the key. So we fixed that, and we're still getting yelled at because this is an async function, and we need to mark it async throws. Okay. So now we set up the magic link function. We're not done yet. There is a lot more steps to do. The first thing we should do is let's set up our URL type. This is what's going to be called when we get the magic link. We need to tell the iPhone that, oh, this is the URL to open up our app. So this is where you declare it. So you write down basically what you copied, and then you copy what we wrote, and then you just the front part. The front part is what matters before the colon, and then after that, that should be good for our URL type. This is how you deep link into an app. Back to our application. Let's see, we're gonna add a new group here for auth, since we're gonna be doing a bit of stuff for the authentication. Now let's add a new file. Oh, wrong button. This is gonna be a SwiftUI view, and we're gonna call this login view. This is gonna be our login screen. And for our login string, let's create a state var called email, which is going to be the string that holds our email. And let's create the text field. And before that, let's actually create a VSAG and then call the text field. Call it email. And then we'll bind the email string. Then we need a button to actually trigger the login. For that, we're going to go with this. And let's open up our preview so we can see what's going on. I like to always bold the buttons. Buttons always look a lot nicer bold. It's something I started doing recently to every button I work with. And we're going to set a background color to yellow just to match the Nike Run Club look, and a foreground style of black. Clip shape capsule. Okay, this screen definitely needs some more work, but we're not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to set up some basic stuff so we can test our login capabilities. I'm going to add this background to the text field. But we're going to change it from yellow to gray, or you can also do like ultra thin material. Which is a nice color for a text field. Now let's handle our login. So this is an asynchronous function, so we need to wrap it in a task. We'll say do catch. In our catch, we're just going to print the error since we're not really doing any error handling in the course. And what do we want to say here? So we'll have to say try await and then call the magic link login. And we're actually going to disable the button so that people can't try to log in if the count is less than, I don't know, with like 7. This is not true error handling. There is a way for you to actually validate that it is an email address. We're not going to cover that in this course. I believe we've covered it in there's an auth course on the YouTube channel. I believe it's with Firebase. So if you want to check that out, there in that course, we go through how you can validate to make sure it's just an email address. So before we can test this, we need to say on open URL, because what's going to happen here is we're going to call the magic link function, right? And what's going to happen is whatever email we put, Supabase is going to send an email to that email address, and the email is going to contain a link for the user to sign into to our app. The link is basically going to direct the user from their phone to the app and allow them to sign in. And that's all they have to do. No password, no nothing. Hence why they call it magic link. So we're going to call on open URL because that's what's going to be called once we open the app. And before we do anything else, we need to actually create a function in Supabase that's going to let us sign in once we open the URL. So for that, we're going to create a function and pass in a URL. We're going to mark it async throws, and this will be auth session from URL, and we pass in that URL. Here we need to call it handle open URL. All right, so try away auth.session. This URL is going to allow us to sign in using Supabase, and we actually need to call Supabase.auth here, and we'll get that. And one thing we can use in our AuthService is a current session. This can be an optional. And let's confirm to observable. And what this session is going to be tracking is if we actually have a session. And we can just return that here. Oh, it needs to be current session. Because this returns us a session if we look. If you see there, it returns us a session, so that's what we'll go with. Now go back to login view. And here we can call auth service shared. Okay, and we need to wrap this in a test. So I'm gonna copy this, and just cut this and then paste that here. Hit Command B. One time for the moment truth, y'all. One thing before we do that though is let's use our content view. So let's see. How do you want to do this? So if AuthService current session, all right. If that session equals, so if this is not nil, that means we have a user. If it is nil, that means we need to log in. So we'll put in the login view. Do we need to pass in anything here? Nope. So let's now call the content view here. And nope, don't run this on my device. We can run this on the simulator. And let's see if we have any issues. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Moment of truth, y'all. All right, so we get the login page. And how can we test this? Well, actually, let's see if it lets us. Yeah, we're not able to hit that button, which is cool.
I think I broke the app. But actually, if you want to test this sign in with Magic Link, we need to go to our Safari here and look up temp. And then if you do dash email, there we go, or dash mail, here we go. This gives you access to a free inbox. So you don't have to set up and sign into your own email here, like on this simulator. Just go here and then you copy that address, paste it in there, hit login, and we did not set any feedback to let the user know they got an email. But if we go check Safari, oh, confirm your sign up, confirm, and it says Open Run Club. Okay, boom, we're signed in, and now we can start working out. Amazing, amazing. Well, let's stop this workout. We gotta hold it after that. There we go. And if we run the app again, does it persist our session? I don't think it does. Because in here, we need to call try. What are we trying? We need to try Supabase. If you ever get stuck with Supabase, you can always reference their documentation here. So let's go, where's the documentation? Retrieve a session. So we just need to call this. Where is Xcode? So we call this. And this needs to be wrapped in a task. And this is getting kind of, oh, it's okay. It's a little ugly. If you want, you can expand this out into more than one line. Oh, this needs to be optional. We don't want it to. If it fails, we don't want it to do anything. Okay. Looks like they were not signed in. Let me see something. We're gonna try this again. We should get a, if we go back to our list, we should have a sign in. We should have a sign in email here. Your magic link. Cool. Open here. All right. And if we rerun the app again, oh, of course, that's why it wasn't working. We need to set this to the current session. Now it's getting super. Let's just take this out into its own because it's a little ugly. There you go. When you run it, it'll automatically keep you signed in because we're checking here if there's a session. Okay, then let's just add sign out. Actually, let's do log out since we're doing login. And then for Supabase, let's see if we can do it without referencing documentation. Sign out is async throws, so we just need to try await. Try await, or sorry, async throws. You need to mark the function async throws if you want to try await within the function. And then if it's successful, we need to set our current session equal to nil. That's it for our Supabase auth. We'll incorporate logging out in the future. For now, we're going to keep it like this so we can build on more features in our app. And we'll dive into using Supabase Swift for our database and then wrap up some of our Run Club features. So I'll see you guys then. Peace. So now we're going to work on getting our database set up in our app. Let me clear this stuff out. So we need to persist these workouts. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use Supabase again. So this time we're going to create a new file, a Swift file, and this is going to be our database service. And we're going to use this to connect it to Supabase. And for this, I'm going to use let's create this as a singleton shared database service. Private init to make it a true singleton. And let's create a private var Supabase equal Supabase client. We can reference our secrets here. Secrets. And if you want to make this the database, you can just call it this. And then what is this? Direct access to database is deprecated. Please use. Oh, interesting. You see they changed the Supabase library very consistently. So now you get a little warning here that this has been deprecated, the .database. Okay, so what do we want to do? So in our database service, we need to do a few things. We are going to do some CRUD operations. So let's have a func, save, workout, func, fetch, workouts. And let's just write those for now. And we're gonna have to mark these async throws. But before we do that, let's go to Supabase. If we go back to Supabase, we're gonna go back to our project, which is titled Run Club. And let's go to database. And for here, we need to create a table. Let's call this table workouts. And what do we need for workouts? So we'll have an ID and a created at. We'll keep that the same. And let's actually go to our run view. Let's see if we can play this. Because I want to see what information we have access to. We'll have access to our distance. And let's actually go to pause view. And for distance, we'll use a float. You will have pace, which will also be a float. Time, which would be an integer 8. Since it'll always be in seconds, let me just make sure. Elapsed time is an integer, right? Yeah. Okay. And we're only going to use these for now, since we haven't set up calories, elevation, or our body, or mean beats per minute, or heart rate. So created at distance, pace, time. All right, so let's do this. So now we have a table to reference. So let's go back to Supabase and our database. So how do we access? Let's go back here. And since they made changes to the way they set up their library, we need to go to the API docs, not here. So where can I explore? Here we go. Let's go to Swift. And then we go to database, right here, fetch, insert data. Yeah, now you no longer have to reference the database. You can just use Supabase itself. So Supabase from, and we're gonna create an enum here called table. I'll just call it table. And conform this to string. And the first case is going to be workouts. Workout for me, workout for me. All right, and then we're gonna save a workout. So we're gonna enter value. This is gonna be expecting a value, and we're gonna need to create a struct now. So let's create our run payload. And this is going to have to conform to codable. Okay. What do we have in our thing? So if we want to reference our table, we should, because this needs to match up with what you have in your table. So we're going to have a var ID, which is going to be an optional integer. Then we're going to have a created at, which is going to be a date. This could be let distance, pace, and time. Let distance, let pace, let time. These are going to be doubles. This one's an int. The last thing we need is an enum. No, is it coding keys? So it's enum coding keys, and then you conform to string and then coding key. And what this is going to allow us to do is, if you see the variables here, created at needs to have a different name, or needs to be decoded differently and encoded differently, because in our database we have created underscore at. Meanwhile, here we have created at. So those are very different. So we need to be mindful of that. Let's call this run and then pass a run payload and run. One thing we're missing, one thing I realized we're missing is a user ID for this, because each run is going to belong to a user. So this is going to be a UID, and then we can add a foreign key, go to auth, reference user ID. So this is going to reference the auth table, the auth.users table, and require an ID. So it's going to point to an ID. If the row is updated, no action. If the row is removed, no action. Cool. So we also need a user ID here. User ID. This can be a UUID. I believe you can get away with using UUID or a string. Underscore ID. Cool. What we can do instead is just create this as a struct. This is try await. We need to make sure we execute this. Async throws. And if you call .value, it'll actually return you a run payload. And something to mention or to note is the difference between this payload and this payload is this one that's passed into our function will have an ID of nil, since we are not going to assign the ID until it is sent to the database, and once it's returned, then we will have the ID. Okay, so this is how we save a workout, and let's test this.
So if we go to our run tracker, if we go to stop run, it's got post to database. Here, we'll have to wrap this in a task. Again, we're not doing any error handling or real error handling. Let's see, try await. Well, first we have to create the run payload. Okay. Now, so guard that. User ID equals AuthService. Else we're going to return. This shouldn't be nil, since if we see this page, that means there's a user signed in. Our distance is going to be the distance. Pace is going to be our pace. Elapsed time. You want to say try await database service dot shared save run. So here we'll post all this to the database. And before we say let's run and try, we have to set up a few things. We need to set up some row level security policies. These are required in Supabase. You can create a new policy, and they give us some by default. Enable insert for authenticated users. Let's save that policy, and then I like to also use that one for the select save policy. And you notice I changed this to read. Okay. So do we want to test if this works? We do, so we hit run. Our app is now running. So I'm going to start a mock workout. Or have a city run, okay. So this will actually be running. I'm going to let this run for at least a minute just to get some good amount of data. And actually, yeah, it should work because we have this in our stop run method. So whenever we call this, it should run. If not, we'll see. Moment of truth. Okay, we dismiss. And nothing happened. Let's go here. Oh, we have it. And this is my UUID, so it says 64. That was right? Because this is like a minute and 4 seconds. That's what we had. Our pace was 4.3 minutes per kilometer, and then we ran this many meters. Oh, this is fantastic. Freaking tastic. That means we're on the right track, you guys. Now let's try to display this data. Now let's work on reading the second part of CRUD, and probably the only part we're going to do, because we're not going to update or delete. I don't see a need for it in this app. And what we want to do when we read this is we're going to return an array of run payload. Okay, and then we should be able to just call Supabase here from table.workouts. You want to call select, execute, and then value. One thing we will need to do is mark this async throws, and we can return this.
Okay, and now for implementing this, we need to figure out where we're going to implement this in our app. And let's run our app now and see what we have. We're going to have to make some changes, some big changes to our structure of the application. While this is loading, I'm going to create a new SwiftUI view since I know we're already going to need one. And that's going to be our SwiftUI view. We're going to call this our Run Club tab view. Oh, it already exists. Oh, we have one. So we don't need to call our Run Club tab view. We can actually then we can go here and change this to Run Club tab view. There we go. That's why I was thinking we needed to create one, because here we only reference the home view, but now we have the Run Club view. And then, so what we'll need is our second tab. We're only gonna have 2 tabs in this application. And this is not showing the tabs because we didn't change it until after we ran the app. So we're gonna create a new tab. So we're gonna go to new file, SwiftUI view. This will be, call this activity view. And here we'll see our activities. Let's list this as a VStack for now. And state var activities, which can be a run payload, an empty array of run payload. So let's build out our activity view. In here, we're going to create a navigation stack. So we can create a navigation title. Then we're going to create a simple list for now. And this is going to create our activities. Actually, we can just do this one and then we'll have a for each. This would be activities, run, and then we'll need an H stack in here. We'll say, and then we'll put some text. And in this text, what we will need is a run dots. Let's say distance, and this is going to be divided by 1,000 kilometers. And run distance, no, run dot created at. Let's format it like this and see what it shows. And we're just missing a few things, so let's do a list style. Let's do plain, and then let's also navigation title. This is going to be called activity, and on appear. And what's missing here is we need to conform this to identifiable. That gets rid of that issue. So if you just make sure that run payload conforms to identifiable. So for that, on appear, we want to call or set activities equal to, actually we're gonna need to call a task here. And we're gonna remove this out of on appear because this is going to be an inefficient way, since you will be making a network call every time you open this tab. So we'll say activities equals try and wait, database service shared fetch workouts. If this fails, we're going to print our error.localized description. Let's run the app. And nothing's going to show actually because in our tab view we did not call it. So close this. Stop running the app, go back here, let's add this to our tab view. We're going to have a tag of 1, tab item, We'll copy this. Is there like a chart? Let's look up charts. Chart bar fill. Let's do that one. So go here, chart bar fill. And we'll say this is activity. Now we can run this app. And we'll have to make some UI changes, I believe. Let's see. Our session is still being persisted in this app, by the way. Look at that. Our app is showing our last run, which happened that day. And it was this long. So this is really cool. And let's do another run and see what happens. We'll be right back. So let's stop this. Let's hold on to it. Boom, it stops. And it shows. Cool. The one thing we'll want to do is make sure activities sorted by sort by, so we're gonna say done. The created at is greater than of the first one is greater than or equal to the second one. Let's run that, and now the most recent workout should be on top. Boom, there we go. Now let's work on making this UI a little nicer. Let's see what we're going to do. Let's create a VStack or embed this in a VStack. Embed in a VStack. Cool. Call this morning run. This is like a title 2 bold. And then we're gonna put this in an H stack. But first, let's move the date out here. So we're gonna put this in a mini V stack, and let's have the distance, caption. Cool. 1, 2, 3. Then let's do our pace, and let's do the time. Put that there, although that's actually not going to be the right one. And then in terms of pace per kilometer, you can convert this into an int and then use this. You see how this looks? So we need a max width of infinity here. Alignment of leading. This will need to be title 3. This will need to be captioned. If you go back to the home view, or which view was it? I think it's the run view. Let's do this with the specifier. In our activity view. Here to help us remove this extra decimal places, or these extra decimal places, I should say. Okay. This alignment needs to be leading. Let's do some padding dot vertical. I'm gonna play around with some spacing here. Let's make these headline and make them bold. And make the spacing 24. There we go. And I'm gonna call ChatGPT. And ask it in Swift to only show month, day, year. This is in SwiftUI. How can I do this in my text view? So we're gonna create this formatter. It might be good to create an extension. Actually, let's put this up top. This is gonna be a date formatter. If you're gonna use this a lot in your app, then you should probably create an extension on date. We can just make this a function. So if we go here, format date, return a string. Oops. We need to pass in a date. So we will take this, put in here, and date. So then up here we can get rid of all this. Get rid of the strings as well. We can just say format date. Go here. There we go. Bam. Bam, 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 bam. Thank you, Pam. We're good, y'all. We are almost set. So now what we're missing is seeing where we ran, because that's pretty cool if you can have that in your app. So that's what we're gonna do now. Let's get into that. In order to do so, what we're going to do now is we're gonna need another publish var. We need to create a publish var. Let's do that up here. And I'm not sure if this is going to be published yet, actually, but we're going to call this locations. And this is going to be an array of CLL location coordinates. It'll be an empty array. And what we'll do in our delegate, so here every time we get a new location, we are going to call locations dot append location. We'll have to say self. And we'll have to use coordinate. So now what do we need to do? We're actually gonna need to send these to Supabase. And how are we gonna do that? So let's see. All right, so we have this here and we're updating it every time. Now we're going to go to our run payload and let's create a new variable called route. And this is going to store a new struct, call this geo JSON coordinate. And this will be codable. And in here, we're going to just store our longitude, which will be a double, and a latitude, which will be a double. We're making these a double because in Supabase, we need to store these as doubles. Okay, we'll call that here, and then we have an issue because we don't have that declared here. Cool, and we're going to create a function. I'm going to create it out here first, so it's globally available everywhere. But we might take this out and put it somewhere so it's not exposed everywhere. Because you wouldn't want this in like in a big application. Convert to geo coordinates, okay. So we're gonna get some locations. And here we'll have our CLL location. And this is gonna be an array. Of geo JSON coordinate. return. So we can just take our locations and we can map them. It's a cool way to use the map feature into a geo. We will reference the $0 longitude. So we're gonna want to do this in our run tracker. Longitude, $0 latitude. I misspelled latitude here. Okay, some parameter route. This is going to be locations. Well, actually, no. This might be good to create it as an extension on CLL coordinate, but I'm not sure yet. Actually, we couldn't because we need to be in a collection of this. Now let's go back to Supabase, and you need to go to your project, and we're going to go to our database. We're going to go to our table, and we're going to create a column here. We're going to call this route, and this is going to be a JSON blob, and we will save that. And most likely than not, we'll run into an issue right now when we try to add this to our app. Yep, data can be read. Actually, another thing we need to do is we need to remove previous workouts. Since they're going to violate that. And there's nothing to be fetched, so nothing gets fetched. And then let's start and stop a quick workout and see what error we get, if any. So did we get an error? No. Oh, look at that. Boom. Look at that. So we have these coordinates. Now we can run this. We're able to decode it. Yep. There we go. Now what we'll do is let's create a navigation that's going to navigate us to something like this, and it'll have like a map as well. So to do that, we're gonna go up here. Well, let's go to our activity view. And for each, I'm gonna wrap this in a navigation link, destination, and value. That's not the label is what we're calling here, and the destination. Single activity view, or we'll say activity item. Activity item view. Let's copy this code because this is going to be useful here. It's going to be fairly similar to this, except we're going to stick a fat, and let's declare this with a run payload. To solve this, let's do something, create an extension on date. Date ext, format date, so we'll say extension date self. Okay, so in here we'll say, oh, So we're gonna cut this out, and you want to remove all of this, and then you can just say format date. You'd want to change the name of this because this is very vague. No, okay. We'll copy this here. And payload. Say .now. .init. Distance. Paste. Time. Empty. Okay. So we've created our activity view, and this is what it'll look like. We need to also set a max height of .infinity. Cool. Now we're going to create a map, and then in here we can call a map polyline. And this is something that Xcode gives to us. And in this polyline, we will have, let me see, which one are we calling? We need this one with coordinates. We can say run dot route. Convert route to coordinates. And let's call this function in our run tracker as well. Turn GeoJSON, and then we're gonna map this. We're gonna do a similar thing we did in the right above. Or MapKit. Oh, actually, we need to import MapKit, so we do have access to that here. So we can actually make this a function here. So one thing we can, let's try this. Actually, I think we can just do this and then map polyline. And then we can use our function here, convert route to coordinates dot route. Let's try to run this and see if we break anything. It's always good when you break something, it lets you know what's wrong. All right, let's go to activity. It shows up. Boom. Nothing shows. One. Might have an issue because we're expecting a run thing in the environment. Also, we never set our destination in our activity view. Go here. Yeah, we don't have it next to activity view, activity item view, and we'll pass in the run. Now we can see something, hopefully. Okay, let's go here. Boom. Oh, it shows our run. And it's just because this was short. Let's do a long run then. And I believe we can adapt the color or change the color. So let's do a stroke of yellow and make it 5. All right, so I just stopped a pretty decently long workout. Now let's open it and ooh, it looks like we need to work on this. Ooh, this thing it needs some help. So let's create a stroke, and in here, let's create a yellow for the style. I mean, for the content, put yellow. And then for the stroke style, we're gonna create a stroke style. Stroke style, a line width of 3, line cap round, line join round, and get rid of all the rest. Let's see how that looks for us. There we go. If we add a foreground style of clear, it shows up like this. This is pretty cool. This is good. Not sure what happened here, but good nonetheless. Look at this one. So our app has come along pretty well. Pretty much almost done. We have our front end, back end set up. We need to add our sign out. Let's add a sign out here in activity so it's not on the home page. Let's add that. So if we go to activity view, we'll add it here, toolbar, content. We can just write toolbar, and then we'll say toolbar item. This will be trailing, top bar trailing, and this will be a button, an action, and a label. Disruptive. This button will have a text which says sign out. Actually, log out, right? Is log out one word or 2 words? I have no idea. And when we log out, we're gonna need a task and call. We need to do catch actually, and then we can call. Localize description. Try await. Supabase. No, not Supabase. AuthService. Shared, sign, or log out. Before you run this, make sure you put a foreground style of .red here. Well, that might be red by default since this is destructive. You can test that out yourself. There you go. Let's log out. Boom. And now we don't have access to that account because we use temp email. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're gonna log out, you're gonna lose that data if you're using the temp mail for your login information. I hope you enjoyed what we have so far. The app has come along pretty far. Drop down any comments below if you run into any issues or have any questions. And let's keep it going. All right, I hope you guys took a little break. Before we jump into any more code, I want to review our login page because our UI needs a little bit of help. Just a little bit. And actually, we don't even need to run this to look at it. We can just go here and pull it up on the preview. All right, so here we're just gonna place an image, and I have an asset brought in called logo, which is actually the logo from the run club / triathlete group I go to. Shout out to Eduardo for organizing it. It's really dope. If you're in Broward, come out Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. We run on Sunrise Boulevard, right on the beach. The Instagram is in the description if you guys want to check that out. If that does not seem appealing to you, we can move on and keep coding. All right, so we're gonna do scale to fill, actually not fit. And then let's put a frame height 400, see how that looks. Okay. We need to go here. We need a max height, infinity, alignment, top. And this is a good place to put a spacer. Okay, and then this padding is not sufficient. So actually what I'll do is I'm going to wrap this in its own VStack. Max height of infinity. Where do we want to align it? Alignment bottom. And let's put some padding here. Looks a lot nicer. And we can put like a welcome message here. So text, welcome runners. I'm not that creative at the moment. It's a little early. That's the best I can think of. Welcome runners. Actually, you'll probably need a large title. Let's make this bold. And let's add some padding to the top. Actually, let's bring this over. Boom, and then I think by default it'll center it in between these items. Yeah, there we go. Welcome runners, you can add whatever you want there. Okay, it's our login page. Let's test this. And another thing I realized while I was testing this on my device is we haven't filtered. Well, actually, let's log in first, and then we'll go into the issue. All right, email, cool. So now we need to go to temp email. Or temp mail, I should say. And you want to be careful with this because one issue with Supabase, or not an issue, but something we haven't set up is our STMP, or even updated our limit to how many emails can be sent through Magic Link. So I think right now it's only like 3 per hour. So you really want to ration out these requests that you make to with Magic Link. All right, we had this. All right, open. Boom, we get to log in. One thing I was mentioning, well, the login works, so shout out to that. But the one thing I was mentioning is we have this data, right? But this is data from other users, right? This is something I put yesterday. We need to do some stuff in our database. Whoa. One thing we need to do is we need to update our fetch here. We need to add an in. And this is a neat thing that Supabase allows us, so we can reference the column. So right here, the first rest of the column. Let me pull up Supabase, by the way. So just so we can see what we have. Dashboard. Where is our run club? And we're gonna go to our database. And here you see a column. So if you wanted to fetch only some for a certain day, a distance, pace, you can go there. But we're gonna go with the user ID, and that means we are going to need to pass in the user ID here. Okay, and then you just need to put this in here. And if you only wanted to fetch runs for like a list of users, then you could just put it in this list. So that's the neat thing about this, having this as an array. So now we need to update this call. So, try await, fetch workouts. And we'll have to put a guardlet here. User ID equals AuthService, shared, current session, user ID, else return. And then we will pass this in here. Now let's run our application. Minimize this. We run this. And boom, we have workouts here. Are we using the same address as last time? Let's go to our authentication. Oh yeah, looks like temp mail gave us the same address because we just signed in. Then I have one here that I created, and that's the one that was missing because before we had 3 runs, now there's only 2. And if you guys run this on your device, this gives you like a little wonky UI here. So let's go to, I believe it's HomeView. And okay, ignore. Actually, let's just do top. There we go. Cool. Let's fix some bugs we have in our app. So I'm running the app now, and we're gonna see. I'm gonna show you guys one of the bugs that we currently have in our app. So let this load. So we're in the app. So let's start our run. Okay, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we're gonna stop it now, and let's start another run, and let's see what happens. You see, we're starting at 6. We can solve this by having the elapsed time equals 0 here. And now let's run our app. And that should address our issue. So I'm gonna stop this run here, start it again, and we start at 0. Good. Okay, now we have a few other issues. One being, this pace here is not correct. This is actually not the right format we want. So where is that? That is in our activity item view. Okay, so that would be under pace. So we don't need to convert this to, we don't need to convert it to anything. We can just use that time because this integer will be the number of minutes per kilometer. And then we need to make this dynamic. So for this, we're going to get access to the date here. So let's see, run, rated at. So we can create an extension on date. We already have one here. We're going to call this time of day string, and this is going to return a string. And how do we grab the hour? I forgot. It's not something you remember off the top of your head. So let's use ChatGPT and Swift. Create an extension on date that will show different greetings based on time of day. This should give us a rough sketch of what we're looking for. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Okay.
This is going to grab the hour from self. So anything before 12, actually before 11, will qualify as a morning run. Well, let's say 3. And then from 11 to 5, let's include 6. Actually, no, let's include 5. 15 only. Let's call this a lunch run. And then this will be an evening run. And by default, night owl run. And we can call this here. And let's see what it gives us. So we'll take the time of the run into account. Morning. Did all of these runs happen in the mornings? I'm not too sure about that. Let's see. Oh, this is the wrong. Oh, this is what we need to change in our activity view. That's why we're not seeing it. So if I go here, yeah, then this says lunch run. That is our issue. Now it should be resolved. Lunch, lunch, evening, evening. There we go. And we still need to update this one then. Minutes. Oops, what am I missing? Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm missing minutes. And you could make this more specific. What you would need to have. Let's just see something. Because if you get rid of this conversion to an integer, what do we get? I believe we'll get a decimal. But it's not going to be correct in terms of the minute, right? Like, what does this mean? I mean, we could use that. You just have to. It's really up to you, personal preference. Because what it's really going to stand for is, let's say 3.85 minutes. So it'd be 0.85 of a minute, which is it's like 50 seconds almost, something like that. And let's get rid of this print here in our conversion. Okay, now we cleaned up some bugs and we're good to go. One more thing before we wrap up. We're missing something in our app. If you guys haven't noticed, so we complete the workout, we do the workout, right? And it's saved in our database, but that's not being reflected on the iPhone itself, like in our health app. So now we're gonna implement that feature into our application. To do that, we need to create a new file, SwiftUI view, and we are gonna call this our health manager. And we're gonna use this to communicate with our HealthStore from our iPhone to send the workout to the HealthStore so that it's saved on the device. And we need to declare this final class, Health Manager. In here, we need to create a reference to our HealthStore. So we're going to say HealthStore equals HK HealthStore. And one thing I'll add before we move on is you would use this health manager to get other health data, such as the beats per minute, which we're not doing in this course. And you may potentially use it to get other health data, such as calories burned and elevation, but that may require an Apple Watch and is a different implementation that we're not going to cover in this course. If you guys want to see something like that in the future, let me know. So back to the HealthStore implementation. First, we need to request access to the person's health store or health data. So we'll say request authorization, and this will be async throws, and we'll say let types to share equal HK workout type dot workout type, and we need to declare this as a set. And then we can call try await HealthStore request authorization to share, and then this can be an empty set. And we're going to create a function here called add workout. It's going to have a start date, and I forgot to declare the type. Okay, what else are we missing? A duration of time interval, distance of a double, and then calories burned double. And this function will also be async throws. And what the first thing we need to do is we need to create the workout. So we'll say HK workout. We're going to use this one. Activity type is going to be running. Start date of start date. We can pass the end date in here. Duration is going to be our duration. Here we need to say HK quantity unit double value. And then the unit is going to be kilocalorie. The value is going to be kcal burned. The total distance is going to be something similar. We need to say HK quantity. Unit is going to be meters, and this is going to be our distance. The device is going to be local. The metadata will be nil. And then all we need to do is we need to call the HealthStore.save, which this will give you an async. It's an async function. So we're going to pass our workout in here, and then we need to call this with try await. Okay, let's make this a singleton, because why not? Now we're just missing these static let shared equals health manager. So if we go back here to our content view, let's just call this task every time. So we'll have a do catch here. Try await health manager dot shared request authorization. Print error dot localized description. Command B, we have no run errors, but we need to add some stuff in our plist. So if you hit the plus and you look up privacy, we need to go to privacy health. So health update, and then also privacy, and then health share. Okay. I'm just copy these strings over. All right, and
Oh, last thing we're missing is we need to go to where we go to our run tracker. Where is that? Here we go. So when we stop a run, host to health. Let's call this HealthStore. So in order to post to a HealthStore, we need a task to catch as well. And for this one, try wait, health, shared, add workout, start date, end date is now, duration is elapsed time, distance. I think if I convert this to a double, we're fine. Yep. And then for the start date, private var start time equals dot now. So here, oh, need to put date. All right. Start time. And we need to do some math, right? How are we going to calculate this calories burned? Let's just say 100 and test this before we get into that part. We run the app. We should now get asked to share our health data. Some sort of request authorization should pop up. And actually, I think something we're missing is, yeah, we don't have our HealthKit entitlement. That's what I was just realized. So we need to enable HealthKit. And I believe you need an Apple developer account for this, if I'm not mistaken. I pay the $99 a year. I know it's annoying depending on where you are, but you gotta pay to play, baby. Pay to play. All right, now we get this. Cool. All right, let's start a workout. And actually, before we move forward, if you go to your health, continue, next, continue, allow. So we have no data. Let's see. No data. Go back to our app. And let's try to upload this data. So let's try it out. Let's stop this workout and see what happens. All right, we stopped it. We didn't get any errors thrown, it looks like. If I go to my health, is there any data? Nope. Activity. Oh, wait. Oh, there's a workout. Ah, it worked. Haha. We got it, y'all. There we go. So we added this workout, 1 minute running, 100 calories. Cool. Now we just need the calorie calculation. Voila. Capito. What's up, guys? We are back, and now we need to do some mathematics or some calculations. Actually, that's why I got my glasses on. We need to do some calculations. And what do we need to calculate? We need to figure out how we're going to track our calories burned, because in this version of the application, we are not going to be using like the Apple Watch workout stuff to track our health data. We're going to create like an estimate for the estimated calories burned. And how are we going to do that? So there's this formula that we can use, and let me add a text box here. And this is the formula pretty much. Let me remove this. Make this bigger. So the calories burned is going to equal the MET times their body weight times the duration. The MET is the metabolic equivalent of task. And if you have any, I have no idea what that means, but that's what's used to create like an approximation of how many calories are burned. If you want to learn more about MET, you can just Google that. And it's the ratio of work metabolic rate to resting metabolic rate. They use these in like scientific studies to figure out what's like the metabolic rate and calories burned and things like that. But we don't need to go too much in depth into it. So we need these three things, right? For body weight, we are just going to use the average body weight of a human, which what is the average body weight of a human kg? And this is very bad. 60 in Africa, it's probably like 100 in the US. All right, so we'll say 80 because that's 180. All right, let's say 80 kg. So we're gonna go with 80 kg. So let's create another text box. 80 kg is gonna equal our average body weight. We have our duration. It's gonna be in seconds, so we'll just have to do some math to make that in hours. And then the formula for the MET is as follows. This gives you an approximation of the MET. So it's going to be 1.57 times the speed, kilometers per hour, minus 3.1. So that's the math we need to do for this. Are we missing anything else? So let's just see the duration. Let's do the math here now. So duration is, so we're going to have seconds. So to get seconds into hours, you need to divide by 60 gives you minutes, and by 60 will give you an hour. That should be seconds divided by 60 gives you how many minutes. And then if you divide by another 60, which is the same as multiplying this, then you get hours. Okay, so that's what we'll do for our duration. And then the speed will be kilometers per hour. So we'll just take the kilometers and divide by the duration. All right, let's go into Xcode and put this all in there. I hope this was confusing and helped you understand a little bit more. I tried to make you help, trying to help you guys visualize the formula. Let's open up Xcode and do this. And I'm gonna take off these glasses because my eyes are on fire. I have contacts on. Let's create a function here in our run tracker called calculate. Let's just say kcal earned. All right, and let's return a double. Okay, so what did we say we needed here? So we needed our body weight. So let weight equal 80. And then we need to calculate the MET, or let's do the duration. So it's going to equal elapsed time divided by 60 times 60. And then we need to calculate the MET. 1.57 times speed, which is going to be our distance. And it wants our distance in kilometers, so we're going to say that. So that gives us our kilometers. Let's just do this to make our formula cleaner. Okay, so kilos per hour. And let's create a thing for hour. And we already have that, actually, that's the duration. So kilos divided by, this is our speed, how many kilos per duration. And then we need to subtract 3.15 from that. And then we just were going to return our met times wait times duration. And let's call this a double. Double. Let's just declare all these as double since Swift is require us to do that. Something we should always do is this. What is it? Proof check our math here. So let's kilos and then met. Say answer equals this values. We can call that here now. Boom. Now let's run this and actually wait. No, we're good. We're good. We should be good. So I'm gonna run this and then we are going to test this on the simulator. I have to log in first. 1 second. Okay, we're logged in. Let's go and just start an activity. And I'm gonna try to let this run further. So I'm gonna stop this here once we have 500 meters. I just want to more or less have an estimate of what. All right, let's see. Actually, I can pause it. So we're at 0.52 kilometers and 2 minutes and 12 seconds. What else is important? I think that's it. The distance and all right. So let's stop this. Let's see if I can do some quick math here. Apparently, we burned 56.21 calories there. That seems like a lot for 2 minutes. But let's see if our math is correct. Maybe I made a mathematical mistake. Aha, 56. My math skills are good. But that seems like a lot for a 2-minute workout, right? It looks like we're running at like almost 10 miles per hour, so I can see why there's 50. The math is good. Or the calories feel a little high, but hey, maybe because also we put 80 kilos. If we put this number down, it'd be a little bit less. But we're in America, so the average is a little high. Shots fired, shots fired. Don't have any more else we need to add. We didn't cover error handling in this application. That was by intention. We built this out using MVVM. We have Supabase on our back end. A lot of cool features. I hope you guys learned a lot. We're using Magic Link to sign in. We messed around with HealthKit. What you can do to take this further is try to integrate heartbeat monitoring. Although that is a little tricky, a little complicated. That's why I didn't include it in this video. I looked into it myself and it's not as straightforward. And you might have to do some workarounds to get like the actual live heart rate. But I challenge you to do that. And let me know if you guys have any comments down below if you run into any issues. And if you're interested in the source code, it is on the Patreon. So check that out. And make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, do the thing. And also be on the lookout. There might be a little bit of merch dropping. I had some merch that from back in the day that I might be dropping, and it's a limited amount. So if you guys are interested in rocking some Swift swag, stay tuned for that. Follow me on Twitter, Jason Dubon, the Jason Dubon on X. Sorry, not Twitter anymore. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll be in Europe for a while, so if you're out there, hit me up. If not, I'll see you in Miami. Or if you guys want to join the Run Club, come out. It's out in Broward. Enough rambling, though.
See you guys. Love y'all. Keep coding. Peace.
We finished the app, and it's 105 degrees out here. Now it's time to test it out and channel our inner David Goggins. So I have the app out here, and now the countdown starts, and time to go, baby! Stay hard!
What's up, guys? This is a clip from the I Was There podcast, an episode with Kyle Lee, aka Keto Loco. If you guys want to see the full episode, the link will be in the description. Also, the hoodies are live, so make sure you check that out. The comment will be pinned, and there's a very limited amount, very, very limited. So if you guys want to get your Swift hoodie, check that out ASAP. Only in the US. Sorry, my international folks. It costs too much to ship to you guys. It's too complicated. Move to the US. But all right, guys, enjoy this clip. See you on the next one. Peace.
What advice would you have for an aspiring iOS developer in today's market in 2024?
Yeah. So, I kind of said before that if you boil it down, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know in order to get hired. Like if the goal is to get hired, it's about who you know and how you can, get that step into the door, or get your foot in the door. And I would strongly recommend that you start creating content in some capacity. I truly feel like this has propelled my career, like my skill sets forward in my career, and has opened up a lot of opportunities that I would not otherwise have had. I'm sure, Jason, like with the community that you've been building, the fact that you have content out there, that, you getting a job recently, that community kind of helped, whether it was directly or indirectly, because if it's directly, then it's somebody that reached out to you or that that you can reach out to, or it was indirect where it's like, hey, look at this portfolio that says, hey, I know what the heck I'm doing because I teach thousands of people how to do it.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend creating content in some capacity, whether that be videos or articles or something that's public. Even building in public on maybe X, learning in public, I should say, is could be definitely valuable. And the other reason why I say that is because there's so many times where I go back and watch like a 3-year-old video of mine, and because I simply don't memorize all this information. I learned how to do it once, I make a video up about it, and then I go back and I reference it later if I need it. So just having something that you can go back to, like, oh, I know that I wrote an article about that. Oh, I know I did a video about that. Like, oh, let me go check how I did it then. And then use that as a reference, because then I could get back into the same thinking space and apply all the new concepts that I know about it to what I'm working on now.
Yeah, it's really great advice, to be honest. Yeah, because who you know is definitely, for what I've seen in my experience, is definitely a huge factor and a lot more of the best route, to be honest, than trying to go through the front door when applying.